Hi there, this is Dr. Lisa Ann Homick from Homick Advanced Chiropractic, and this is Brain Snob episode number 80. Welcome, I'm glad you're here. Why are healthy people dying? That's the question I want to tackle today because on the news, that's what we've been hearing lately about people who've died of this acute infection, and they're saying their age, saying they are the younger group of folks who are supposedly doing all right, but now there are healthy people dying. We don't understand why, and everybody is now asking more questions, getting more scared, getting more anxious. So I want to tackle that. But first, I want to let you know I do want you to be a brain snob. It's not an insult. It is a high compliment. It means you know enough about your brain so you can give yourself great life experiences. The brain makes the body and you make your life. And we need your full participation in the world. And you can't do that with an impaired brain. A performing brain will do that. But unfortunately, an impaired brain is not only a disease magnet, but it is lost talent. And we want you here. We want you to be busy and involved. But right now, healthy people are dying and we don't know why. And at this point, the information is coming and going, and I understand that we're doing the best that we can with the information as it's coming in. So there's the new news can be disconcerting and making people even more nervous. People who are already taking every precaution they can, they're staying home, and then they're watching this on the news, and that's not healthy for your sympathetic nervous system either. The fight or flight response is just going to change your immune response, and you can't be in a state of growth and defense at the same time. The body can only do one or the other. So I want to help you stay in that state of growth by talking about what is the definition of health and how we define it. So rather than look at the new news, I want to look at some old news and help you put the dots together so you can understand what makes you healthy and how you can have more confidence and trust in your own body, and you believe that you have actually done a whole lot of great things to keep you healthy. But somebody who is considered healthy at this point would be somebody without a diagnosis of anything, or somebody who's not on any maintenance drugs like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, things like that, or they're not on any prescription drugs at all. So that kind of helps us decide who's healthy and who's not healthy. Somebody who doesn't go to the doctor on a routine basis, or if they do, it's just the vitals, your height and weight, and making sure that there's nothing stands out as a huge red flag. And so you're considered healthy. The doctor says, well, see you next year. And there you have it. So I thought I was healthy, and I can go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, looking at the things I was doing, the things that I believed were healthy, or the things I just didn't give a darn about and did it anyway, the silly lifestyle habits that I said, I like them, I'm not giving them up, or my excuse that, well, I am different and I'm immortal and this may bother you, but it's not bothering me and I can handle anything. I guess you kind of have that attitude when you're young, and I sure had that. And things changed, and I learned more, and I decided to get rid of my arrogance and my ignorance, but mostly arrogance that nothing was going to hurt me. But what is health? Here's my definition would be anything that's keeping you in homeostasis, that your cells and your body wants to be in homeostasis. It wants to survive, that's number one, but it wants to survive in a state of balance. And homeostasis just means that things are going up and down, your body's responding to the stressors and correcting it. And if there's enough rest in between these moments of stress, the correction is going to be very strong and the correction is going to be appropriate and accurate. But when we have too much stress and the body can't keep up, that's the problem. So from a cellular definition, this is my own definition, is that the cells are functioning appropriately Your cells will divide appropriately and they're going to die appropriately. Meaning, when the cells do die at the right time, more cells have already been replenished and to take over the job. That would be my definition of health. Now, I don't have a microscope and I'm not looking at cells, so there has to be other ways to make that determination. And let me talk about why I thought I was healthy. That might give you some clues, but initially, when I wanted to become a chiropractor, I went to a chiropractic office and asked if I could be a volunteer. They welcomed me with open arms, and that's wonderful. Chiropractors are very friendly, and it's just wonderful to have that kind of opening with strangers that I just called up on the phone and said, hey, guess what? I'm thinking about this career, and I want to learn more about it. But they said, okay. And I went to the office and was treated like a patient and had my x-rays taken, x-rays of my spine. And the interesting thing is my neck is straight. We call it a military neck, and it's lack of a lordosis. And the other finding on my x-ray was I had the beginning of spurs, the initial stages of arthritis. So, and I'm thinking, that can't be right. Did you mix it up? Are those somebody else's films there? But no, they were mine. And I think back to the time I had that head injury where I dove into the radiator and split my head open, got stitches when I was 5 years old. I'm sure that totally changed my development as I grew, because at age 5, you got a lot of growing to do before you reach adulthood, and that affected how my spine developed during the rest of my childhood, teenage years. And back then I said, my goodness, that's terrible, because I had no symptoms. And we rely on that. We rely on how good we feel. And sometimes we even what we term good is actually not good, because I also, prior to that time, was dealing with a total lack of energy, almost painful stiffness every time I tried to move my body. I remember this in college, and terrible waking up and getting out of bed. Once I got going, I was okay. So of course I thought this was normal, but after discovering chiropractic care and some other lifestyle changes, I said, wow, the things I tolerated that I thought were normal, because even as a child, if you're experiencing something when you're a little toddler or a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, you think it's normal. You think everybody's like that. When I received my first chiropractic adjustment and then realized I could turn my neck so far that I could change lanes without being scared, I hated that on the highway. I was one of those paranoid drivers who didn't want to go in front of another car because I didn't realize my vision was impacted by my lack of neck motion. But getting back to the early stages of arthritis, those spurring, and I said, wow, if I didn't know this, what would I be doing 10 years later, 20 years later, now 30 years later? What would I be doing? I would be developing more arthritis and fibromyalgia, possibly depression, and maybe a more serious autoimmune disorder, maybe thyroid dysfunction. Trauma to the neck can change your thyroid function. It changes your vision. And we know this from whiplash studies, people who had severe neck whiplash from motor vehicle accidents. So now I'm grateful, although at first I was in my little mood of, no, that can't be right. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have symptoms. So, but I addressed that. And there's some other things that happened that I learned to address. Like, I had a lot of hypoglycemia, even as a teenager, even in my 20s, where if I wasn't eating in, 3 hours maybe, that my world was going to come to an end. It was so disruptive to my thinking and my mood. And nobody wants to be in a bad mood. And if you're constantly in a bad mood every few hours, that's just no way to live. And understanding now, it is a precursor to diabetes. Back then, people just said, oh, eat something and you'll be fine. It was ignored as something possibly serious. Now I know better, and I nipped that in the bud and took care of that. And then I had some anemia issues on blood work, and well, I got to think back. If I think it was an iron issue, but I had 2 or 3 lab findings that were abnormal, indicating anemia. I took care of that nutritionally as well, and I found it odd because when I was pregnant, I had perfect lab work. My iron was always perfect, and this was 10 or 12 years later, and I said, well, my diet is not different. It has gotten better. It got a lot better. So why would my iron be a problem? So I took care of that nutritionally, and I actually figured out that it was probably a stomach acid problem, not making enough stomach acid. And stress will do that. Stress will do that. Wrong diet will do that. And if I work with you, we will go into the more specific details. I'm just giving you my experiences because it might ring a bell with you, because a lot of what we have going on is very similar, because it's all related to these 3 words I'm going to tell you next: inflammation, insulin, and mitochondria. I want you to address that because you can understand how to take care of your health from a different point of view other than waiting for symptoms to appear. Because we're told, eat from the 4 food groups or from the pyramid, whichever one you're still following, or exercise a lot, and exercise even if you don't feel good. I find that nobody says that, but if your diet is wrong, you don't feel good. So how can you exercise knowing your diet is wrong? But people don't know their diet is wrong. So I'm getting off topic here, but let's talk about inflammation and is that going to show up? I hope not. Let's talk about inflammation and insulin and the mitochondria, because those are 3 things that are going to help you understand your health on a cellular level, which will give you more control, more understanding. But when you come to my office, everybody can get a copy of this inflammation in measurable terms guide. And inflammation is the baseline of all disease. What causes inflammation? A lot of different things. The simple ones: lack of sleep, too much stress, and different dietary issues. So I want people to gauge where they are with different findings. So some of these are lab findings, and some of these are just your body measurements, or let's see, not weight. We don't go by weight. And blood pressure, that was the one I was trying to think of. So your fasting glucose should be at a certain level. Your glucose 2 hours after eating should be at a certain level. Your hemoglobin A1C should be at a certain level to indicate that your inflammation levels are low. Also, your fasting triglycerides. These are all simple things you can pull off your blood work in order to decide if you have a high level of inflammation and that you need to work on it. Along with the fasting triglycerides, your triglyceride to HDL ratio, your blood pressure, your CRP, C-reactive protein, your vitamin D levels. So these are all lab things that you can do. The blood pressure you can also do. That's easy. And then your waist should be in inches, half your height. Your waist measurement here should be half of your height here. And that's a simple way to gauge how inflamed are you. And the waist to hip ratio, there's different ratios for men and there's a ratio for women. So the waist measurement compared to your hip measurement. And these are simple things, easy to do. They're backed up by different scientific studies. I've got all that information at the office. But you can reduce your inflammation levels. Even inflammation you don't feel yet, because inflammation does cause pain, stiffness, headaches. These are the usual things. Stomach bloating, irritable bowel. You can have symptoms of inflammation, and also you can have no symptoms if you haven't gotten it to that level where your brain is going to create some type of pain signaling. Remember, your brain modulates pain, and like I have said in the past, that you can be symptom free and have something bubbling below the surface like cancer or a heart attack. And let me continue on. So that's my brief little introduction to inflammation. And let's talk about insulin. Inflammation and insulin go together, because if you have a spike in blood sugar, your pancreas is going to create an immune signaling to the rest of your body. So it's not just your pancreas or perhaps your liver, but it is everywhere in your body. It's going to be a body-wide communication. Your pancreas says, hold on, I'm dealing with something here and I want the rest of you to get prepared. And so there is an inflammatory response that is going to attack. I don't want to use the word attack. It's just going to create a stressful response as it's trying to get back into homeostasis. The body just wants to rebalance itself. It wants to handle the stressor, and then hopefully it wants to rest and relax after that stressor is gone. Unfortunately, with diet, there's more stressors coming in every few hours, depending on what you're drinking in between meals, what you're eating, what you're snacking on. And the insulin level, of course, is easy to measure with, the little finger stick. You can check your insulin level, so you can really gauge where you are throughout the day. So I like that. These are things that are hands-on, you can do yourself. So the inflammation levels, the insulin levels, they are going to just add more stress to your organs. So we keep them at bay, then you are working hard on maintaining your health. And the last one is mitochondria. It's getting more play in the news media and health circles, and the mitochondria is in every cell, almost every cell. Mitochondria are the energy factories, and they make 90% of your energy, and your brain function relies on this mitochondrial action. So the mitochondria, don't ignore them. They're little tiny within a cell, but they're important. And mitochondrial dysfunction is associated with numerous degenerative diseases, organ disorders, heart, liver, lungs, diabetes, cancer, brain diseases, muscular diseases, learning disorders, autism, fatigue, anxiety, mental difficulties, and others. This is the handout I give for people who want to know about mitochondria. So ask for the mitochondria mastery handout. So what can we do to boost our mitochondria? Well, definitely exercise. When you force your body to make more energy, you're going to have more mitochondria. The body just supply and demand. It's going to respond to the demands you put on it. And exercise is going to do that. Chiropractic is also going to help you maintain your movement and your coordination so you can have an enjoyable exercise experience. So don't leave chiropractic out of that equation. Also, don't forget that chiropractic does reset that prefrontal cortex of the brain. Prefrontal cortex. And that is the conductor of the brain and the rest of the body. A ketogenic diet, and I do something called keto lox phasing. It's a little bit different. I also address the high oxalate foods that people may rely upon when they go keto, and some people need to work on that because too many oxalates will also create these same problems of stiffness and pain and brain fog and anxiety. So we want to keep that right too. We don't want to overdo it with the oxalates. Intermittent fasting is also great for the mitochondria. And there goes my computer again. Sorry about that. And there's key nutrients: alpha lipoic acid, B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3, acetyl L-carnitine, D-ribose, CoQ10. These come from the foods you eat, so we have to make sure you're getting the right foods. And also relaxation techniques, meditation. Anything to help calm your brain waves so you're not in that frenzied state, but you're in that easygoing, calm, life is great state. So a lot of meditation is helpful. I didn't put sleep on here. I guess sleep is important too. On the bad side of the column, what wrecks your mitochondria? I did say, I think I said something about sleep. Yeah. So eating before bed, that disrupts your sleep anyway. But we know sleep can boost you. You're more inflamed if you're not getting enough sleep, and it does affect your stress hormones. Everyday medications can damage the mitochondria, and this was very interesting because the people who published this, it took them a long time to find a journal that would publish. And because nobody wants to hear that their medications are bad, they know there are side effects, but this is a severe side effect. It doesn't happen in 1 or 2 days, but it does happen over time. And we don't want anything depleting our mitochondria. And that includes pain medicine, heart medications, antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, statins, metformin, other diabetes meds, seizure meds, mood stabilizers. So check yours out. Look for the article online about it, or or ask me for a copy of the article, because these are things that you might be able to change with diet and lifestyle, and you don't have to rely on the medications. And just give yourself that information so you can decide how you want to move forward, because if your mitochondria are replenished, your health is going to be a whole lot better. Your cells can function better. They will divide and die at the appropriate times, and that's what we're looking for at the cellular level before we even feel symptoms. Heavy metals and molds, no, mitochondria don't like them. Alcohol use, cigarette smoking, interfering with mitochondria, a sedentary lifestyle, poor diet with deficiencies, and high blood sugar, eating before bed, and psychological stress. So it seems like the bad list is longer than the good list, but we can make peace with that, and we can boost health. So those are the 3 things: the inflammation, the insulin, the mitochondria. These are the SAT words, I think, that will help guide you into doing the things that help your cells, help your nervous system, help your brain, so that you can have even more confidence that you are healthy without having extensive testing done. These are simple, hands-on, and I always call the Brain First Always protocol, BFA, I call that the low-tech hands-on. Hands-on because these are things you can do yourself. Low-tech because even I can give you a chiropractic adjustment. It doesn't need a fancy machinery. All I need are my 2 hands. So I teach people the BFA protocol, Brain First Always, so they can take all this good information and just apply it to their lives so they can have the great life experiences, because we're always boosting the brain function and helping your brain. So I hope this was good information for you. I understand that it's very nerve-wracking listening to the news, but we do know your body will handle the stress if it's given what it needs. And it needs nerve energy, but it also needs those receptive organs, because they need to be able to receive that nerve energy. So you need both. I call it the nerve energy, nutrient energy formulation there. So I'm glad you listened. You stuck it out for 23 minutes and 32 seconds. Look for my next video and have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff.